The next artist that we are going to discuss is Vincent van Gogh. Because we have so much information about Vincent van Gogh, we're going to split this lecture up into parts. So this is Vincent van Gogh, Part 1.
Right.
Please open up your book to the self-portrait with a bandaged ear. You'll see a man with a pipe, a hat, and a white-covered ear. This is Vincent van Gogh's painting, Self-Portrait with a Bandaged Ear. The three major questions we're going to discuss for Vincent van Gogh are questions number 1, questions number 2, and questions number 3.
Good. Van Gogh's actually ideal to use the creator method for because there's probably no other artist that we know so much about. We actually have volumes and volumes of letters that Van Gogh wrote almost every day of his adult working life. And you can actually go read all of these if you want to at the Arlington Heights Public Library. So let's go ahead though. We're going to not tell you the answer to like what was going on in his life when he did the self-portrait with bandaged ear until just a little later so that we can move through his life more consecutively.
But most of you probably know why he has a bandaged ear, but we will build up to that moment later. So let's first take a look at then The Potato Eaters by Vincent van Gogh. Here you see a family surrounded by surrounding a table with some hot, steamy potatoes. Let's talk about question number 1. What was happening and what experiences of Vincent van Gogh had that influenced his life?
Okay, there are two experiences that will tell you a lot about this work of art. The first is that Vincent van Gogh actually worked as a missionary for a chunk of time in Belgium with coal miners, very much like the people that you see here. They were incredibly poor, and many times all they had to eat for a meal was potatoes. And that's what you see right here, a very, very poor family sitting around a table having nothing for dinner except potatoes.
But you also can see that there are 5 people in the family, one of which is turned their back towards us. We don't actually see their face. And we do know that Vincent van Gogh lost his older brother a year to the date. Do you know if it was?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what we see here is a reflection of Van Gogh's own family dynamic. A year before Vincent van Gogh was born, his mother gave birth to another child named Vincent van Gogh, who died within 24 hours. And his name was Vincent van Gogh. So there's kind of this creepy fact about Van Gogh's life. He grew up every day walking past a little grave that said, "Here lies Vincent van Gogh." And it had his birthday on it.
So he's number 2.
He's number 2, actually, even though he's the oldest living child in the Van Gogh family. And many people think that that weird little figure of a child that you see at this table may represent that dead baby. It's kind of got this halo of light, and nobody else in the family seems to be recognizing that the child is even there, so it's got this kind of ghost-like quality. And speculation is that Van Gogh often felt like he was the kind of bad replacement child for the perfect child that died, the first time around. The family isn't functioning very well. If you look carefully at this family, nobody's making eye contact. Everybody's looking off in whatever direction.
And the mom's looking down, she's sad.
Right. And there were problems in Van Gogh's own family, so, that could be an experience that influenced him there.
Speaking of family, what we're looking at right now is Theo, Van Gogh, and that's Vincent van Gogh's younger brother, who is an art gallery.
Yeah, he was an art dealer in Paris. In fact, it's interesting, there were a number of members of Van Gogh's family who were involved in art. Now, Theo didn't make a lot of money as an art dealer because he kept investing in artists like Monet and Degas and Toulouse-Lautrec, and nobody was really interested in buying that art. But after he died, of course,
he knew it was up.
Yeah.
So after the missionary, Vincent van Gogh kind of disappeared for a while, but when he did come back...
He was fired for working as a missionary and desponded after that, didn't know what to do with his life.
And so he decided in like a 10-year span of disappearance that he wanted to become an artist. And his brother, Theo, actually supported the decision when most of the other members in his family thought he was...
crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, think about it. He's 26 years old. He's never said anything in the past about wanting to be an artist. He's just started to draw. And now he, after being basically a homeless man for a chunk of time, he suddenly appears and says, "Oh, now I know what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to be an artist." And everyone just laughed at him.
And we're laughing now. And we're looking at right now the bedroom in Arles by
Right.
Vincent Van Gogh.
Now, Theo was the one person who didn't laugh. And when Van Gogh started to do his art, Theo was the first person to actually see that he had brilliant talent. Nobody else saw anything like that in his work. But Paris was much too intense a place for Vincent. And so Theo said, hey, why don't you go down, live in southern France where it's much more quiet. I'll rent a house for you in Arles, and you can work there. The colors there are beautiful. You'll love it.
And we do love it via Vincent's eye, and you see this bedroom piece. And unfortunately, if you look closely, you'll notice that he is not there. But you will notice there are two pillows, two chairs. There's a lot of doubling of a lot of the elements. And Vincent Van Gogh, he did paint a lot in this place, but he was very, very lonely. So.
Right. Yeah, it was a really prolific time, but he wrote in his letters to his brother that, his heart was just breaking because he didn't have anyone around. So his desire, especially for a woman, is really clear here. The picture that we have is a little cut off, but over the bed there are two portraits, one that is clearly of him, and the other one actually shows a woman who didn't even really exist.
But to help help his brother, Theo decided that he would try to find him, or he did get him a roommate.
Yeah, this didn't really work out. Well, I guess there's kind of mixed reviews about whether this worked out well or not. But another famous artist in Paris was Paul Gauguin, and Gauguin had just come back from Tahiti where he'd failed to kill himself after spending his family fortune. He didn't have anywhere to go and complained to Theo. Theo said, well, why don't you go down and live with my brother Vincent? Vincent admires your work. I'm paying the rent anyway. Just move in. So Gauguin did that.
And we're looking at right now The Two Tahitian Women by Paul Gauguin.
Right. This is a work of art that he did when he was in Tahiti, and this is what Vincent had seen of his work and loved. There was a lot that he was doing that was really new, but we won't really get into that here. Okay, so Gauguin lives with Vincent for 7 weeks. They paint together, they argue.
They drink together.
They go to the brothels together.
It was a really nice relationship.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it didn't end well.
No. And as you can see here from the self-portrait with the bandaged ear, you know kind of where the story is going.
Well, a fight broke out between them that evidently was pretty intense. And we have multiple versions of what actually happened, and this is all just anecdotal, so we're not really sure. But one version is that Paul Gauguin came back from the brothel, and he may have been with Vincent Van Gogh's favorite prostitute, Rachel. And this might have sent Vincent into a rage. Gauguin said that Vincent had
a razor
in his hand, the old-fashioned kind that kind of folds out like a switchblade, and he felt like Vincent was going to attack him. So he said, that's it, I'm out of here, I can't stand you anymore, and left the house. And Vincent, in a moment of despair, then went into the bathroom and
cut off his earlobe.
Yeah, well, he didn't cut off his whole ear, but it was basically the top half of his left ear. And then he put it in a little box, and he walked down into the town where the brothel was and gave it to the prostitute Rachel, who opened it up to find his ear inside, And she actually, to her credit, called an ambulance that went and found him collapsed from blood loss on the floor of his home. And that was really the beginning of his visits to the mental asylum.
And we will continue there with Van Gogh, Part 2.
Humanities Online.
That's all, folks.